And it literally takes 15 people to do a professional Mowg-WordPress run now. 15. That includes the specialists, the workers, the production line manager, and the associated folk. 15 experts at their job. Because again, let me make that point. Let me see if I can do it this way. It's kind of funny how this thing works. Yeah, good. All right, let me make this point. When these guys get in, they stay in their position, do their thing, so they become extremely good at their parts, and they're all qualified for their parts, so everyone in each part is extremely good at it. The guy who's involved with the site design is extremely good at Photoshop. Now, he's willing to take on guys who are halfway good at Photoshop, because as long as their work looks good enough to him, then if he thinks that he's willing to be responsible for them and train them up, then he takes them on, and they get paid work. And he gets paid for reviewing it. And if they send him, some kind of a menu block or an image header, background texture, and he goes, hey, that's pretty good, but it'd be better if you did this tweak and that tweak, then what do you think? The specialists get better at what they're doing. All these guys become experts. Now let's think about something else. How many runs can you handle? If you have like 3 to 5 people per position, and right now that's a soft number, for all we know, specialists can take on more, maybe 10 or 15 people, or I'm sorry, the mentors can take on 10 or 15 specialists. We don't know. We just got to see. But there's no law to it. If we find, say, for the VAR sheets, maybe it makes sense. Maybe this winds up being the slowest part of the entire process. Well, fine. If we assign more people as specialists in the VAR sheet section, then the VAR sheet mentor can take that whole 400 column long VAR sheet and split it into 10 file splits, all right, and send just 40 columns to each of those 10 people, 40 to you, 40 to you, 40 to you, 40 to you, 40 to you. Now, that means that each of those people are getting paid less than if they'd be doing the whole thing, a tenth or so. By the way, pay's great, you'll find out. But anyway, that way, the first guy can work on his or her 40 while the next guy works on his or her 40, and the next guy works on his or her 40. And as each guy gets done, they send it back to the mentor and she reconcatenates. So the whole thing could be done in 1/10 the time, theoretically. Probably not exactly, because, different people come home at different times, have different issues in their lives. We understand. All we can do is work with people the speed that they can go. But what do you think happens when you have all these supervisors training workers and the feedback goes both ways and everyone's getting good at this stuff and they're all experts at exactly what they do and the whole line figures out new efficiencies? Then we can handle more work. You get paid the equivalent of 100 to 200 per hour. We've already shown these guys the payout sheet, how it works, what they get paid per position, and it comes to that 100 to 200 an hour. Okay. But it's not paid by the hour. That would be an incentive to slow down. You're paid by the run. If you can take a process that took an hour and you can knock it down to 10 minutes somehow without sacrificing quality, because quality will be the thing that gets you kicked off the line, not the first time around, but if you could ever get kicked off a line, it's because you're cutting corners wrong. You're doing something that the supervisor should be able to tell you, whoops, that was a mistake, let me help you correct it, and you're like, oh great, thanks. And then you just ignore them, bluntly, because, I don't know why you would. I mean, this thing pays incredibly well. It's here, it tracks everything, tracks how long everything took. We can put out feedback reports so that people can say, all right, mentor, what did you think of the specialist on this run? Scale of 1 to 5. And they can mark a 4 or 5, being good. And then we can ask the specialist, all right, specialist, what did you think of the mentor? On a scale of 4 to 5, were they polite? Were they helpful? Did they give you feedback? Did they need to? And so we just have our questions for the feedback form, and they can mark 1 to 5. Well, that way, when we step in, or more appropriately, the production manager, and looks at the pages with that, we should see it pretty much like a flat line. It should be like 4, 5, 4, 5, 4, 5, 4, 5, all the way across the board. But if we see something drop down to a 1 or a 2, there's an issue there. So we'll just get a hold of the person who marked a 1 or a 2 and say, hey there, just kind of curious, what's that all about? Because who knows what that could be all about. Maybe somebody just thought they should mark it because they were unfortunately late and they felt like they did a bad job and they're trying to be honest. Maybe somebody marked it because they just want to keep it clear. We can't keep people on if they're holding up the line, if they're doing bad jobs, but at the same time, we're not busting people either. As a matter of fact, we believe people shouldn't be working more than 10 to 15 hours a week. to replace their income on our lines. That's our goal is to be able to make that kind of thing a reality for real. And from different people say, well, I need more money than the other guy, whatever. There's no reason why it can't be husband-wife teams, and there's no reason why you can't get your neighbor involved. The reality check is, how do you get on the line? You got to qualify. Every human being has to qualify. If you're qualifying, your wife has to qualify. Whatever. And yes, there's a cost involved in that. Now, if your wife and you is just working as one unit, that's perfect. But you only get paid once. If she wants to get in, the same rules got to apply to literally everyone. Everyone knows someone that they want to bring in, but the rule has to be just like you would imagine. If you're coming to Website Marketing Solutions, you know the website. You're here, and you hit Strong Tools, and you hit Install WSP, and you hit See All the Options, then you can scroll right here where you can see the whole TFAM Mowg-WordPress set. This is like a university course complete with all the tools, and it will qualify you to work on the production line if you buy this, to get the tools, go through the course, understand what you're doing, build yourself 1 or 2 or 3 WordPress runs, Mowg-WordPress runs of your very own, intending to put out the pages for yourself to get paid yourself from sales. Do that, work on it, and that way you've got the right incentive to make the work. And what a lot of people do on their first run is kind of cut a lot of corners just to get the technical aspects down, make sure they understand it. Then they come back around and do a much better run that's kind of close. Then they come back and do a third run and it's hot. Now the first run, how long might it take you to get it figured out? It might take you a couple of weeks. That's pretty common, 2 weeks. Okay, we've got a 70-year-old, just the proverbial 70-year-old fellow who could barely tell the difference between left clicking and right clicking is just the best way to describe it. It took him 6 weeks to get his first run done. Okay, and this guy, not used to the internet, not used to computers, just way out of his spectrum. He flew planes for a living, and like dust cropping stuff and sightseeing services in the area. Not even big planes, just flew planes, whatever. But he came in to do this, and it took him 6 weeks to figure his first run out. He was our hardest case. He had daily questions in the forums, and we answered them daily, got them all caught up. But 6 weeks he got one out, blew his mind. He got his next, what was it? I forget the numbers. It was either 2 runs in 3 weeks or 3 runs in 2 weeks. Because once you get it figured out, like sinking and then swimming or riding a bike, once you can swim, once you can ride a bike, these are things you'll never forget. And that's very much how this is. Most of our guys figure it out in a couple of weeks. Then after that, if they push, they can probably cram a run out in a week for themselves. See, doing it for clients is much harder because you need things from the client. You need the client to sign off on stuff. What do you think of the content? Well, if you're working for yourself, you don't have to ask somebody. They don't have to review it. Nobody has to respond to you a day or two later. No one has to say, I assigned it to Tom, but he's out for a week. You don't have those issues that you have when you work with clients, But with the production center, we can keep track of all of it. We could, if we had another run, we clone it. If we had so many runs, we need to clone the whole line. We do that and assign new people to all those positions. Okay, because that's what we're gonna do. A production line right now, we think if we fully man it, it'll hold 43 people, and for us, the goal is to get 43 people off their jobs, working something like 15 hours a week. And if you improve a process and the next guy a couple of days later figures out an improvement, someone else figures out an improvement, someone else figures out an improvement, and suddenly the whole line can work better, well, it's good. You all get paid more because you can do more runs. It's in our interest not to keep cloning. You know why? What you see is what you see. What you don't see is the invisible part, the costs. It costs us for everyone on the line. It costs us monthly for the line. It costs us actually a lot of money to make this available at this level of the game. And we have a supervisor level for a reason. It really means that we're paying the supervisor and the worker to do the same job. We're paying 2 people to do the job of 1. There are a lot of reasons for this kind of thing. And we'll get into that stuff as we get going. How many websites do you know outright on the internet? How many websites just on Google have you ever found that have something like a production line?